Hey guys, it's Jet888 again. It's February 4th, and what you're watching is some bottle brush. I was making some tea with this bottle brush. So this is a late afternoon here that I'm showing this, but this is a little bottle brush tree. Um, and it's got some dragon fruit growing up around the top. And sadly, I don't have the little flowers to show you, but are you guys familiar with this, that bottle brush? Here it is close up. When I was little, I would always make little, like little troll houses or something, but use those little pods as cups. You know, you'd make little tables out of bark and stuff like that, way before computers. But anyhow, and then this, everyone's pretty much, I would think, familiar with the leaves, the flowers that come on this bottle brush. But what I learned just today, so that's why I'm sharing this with you, because I'm excited about these exciting, like, potential pharmacopoeias that we have, that we don't have to use substances that are toxic or expensive or things like that. But I wanted to show you some research I just saw. And this is a little red, it's some kind of guava. I haven't even identified it yet, but it does create fruit. I just haven't identified it, but I know it's a form of a guava. But that grows underneath the bottle brush tree, along with this jade plant right here that the bees like. Anyhow, let's get back to the bottle brush. I really cut this plant back about a month or so ago. So here's the tea again. I'm going to let it seep for a while, but my rule of thumb is if it's got wood and harder kind of leaves in it, I will just allow the water to boil. But if it's a softer leaf and more gentle, or something more green, or like the stinging nettles I showed in my earlier video, I'll boil the tea and then just place the herb inside. I won't really boil it. But anyhow, so I did let this come to a boil. I'm going to let it kind of seep for a while. It's still really hot. So here's the study I'm going to share with you, and this is from the Asian Pacific Journal of Tropical Biomedicine. This was out in June 2011. Pharmacognostic study and anti-inflammatory activity of, let's see if I can pronounce this, Callistemon lanceolatus leaf. So that would be the bottle brush. See here on my journey monitor, there's that, and here's the bottle brush. This is with a flower, what it looks like when it's in full bloom, and I guess they call it full bloom, crimson bottle brush. So a lot of studies use this methanolic, I think, is that how you say it? Methanolic, containing methanol, used for their solvent, which I usually won't do that. I'll usually just use hot water. If I need to do an extraction of something, I'll use DMSO instead, but I just used water. So here's the dosage that they were looking at. It says anti-inflammatory activity at doses of 200 milligrams per kilogram and 400 milligrams per kilogram. That's body weight. And they were going to compare it with this pharmaceutical drug called diclofenac sodium. So it states the methanol, I don't even know how to say it, methanolic extract at a dose of 400 milligrams per kilogram showed a significant activity in comparison with the standard drug diclofenac sodium. So they are comparing it to this drug. So obviously it looks like you apparently don't need as much of the that pharmaceutical drug as you do the bottle brush, but so what if you don't have the side effects? So let's look a little bit more at this. So this states aqueous extracts, that means with water, like what I showed you in the kitchen there. The leaves and flowers have antifungal and antibacterial activity. This says that the plant, the bottle brush, showed strong elastase inhibition, which is really good because, so that's an enzyme, you know, if it ends with the ASE, well, I guess it's an enzyme. And free radical scavenging activities, which is good. The essential oils from leaves possess antimicrobial, fungotoxic, antinociceptive, I'm going to look to see what that is. But let's go first look at the elastase inhibition. Let's look at what that means. So elastase breaks down elastin, an elastic fiber that, together with collagen, determines the mechanical properties of connective tissue. So you don't want the elastin to be broken down. So that's good if the Bottlebrush inhibits that. That means, so it stops that. It stops the breakdown of elastin. So things that keep your skin tight and from looking wrinkly. So the essential oils from the leaves possess antimicrobial. So if it says it has essential oils, you probably wouldn't want to boil it the way I just boiled it. You'd probably want to do it very gently because you don't want to destroy those essential oils from over boiling. But it does have anti-inflammatory activities. And they have also isolated all these triterpenoids, flavonoids, fatty acids, tannins, that's red wine has that sometimes, and phenolic compounds have been isolated from its leaves. And unlike some recent science we've come across, people do know that you have to isolate certain properties in order to identify them and see what their actual activities are. There's no such thing as not isolating something and knowing what it does without isolating it. So this is better science than the science we've seen for the last 3 years at least. So they sun-dried the leaves and powdered them. So you could do that if you want. I just make a tea directly from it. So they fed these dried compressed pellets to the rats. So this is an example of the trees they used, which pretty much looked like what I was showing. So when they looked at the anti-inflammatory activity, they said it significantly inhibited carrageenan-induced rat paw edema. So they injected the rats with carrageenan, I guess, to induce inflammation, and they said that the Bottlebrush had anti-inflammatory activity. They even compared, it says it was comparable to that medication, that pharmaceutical medication, after 3 hours of experiment. And again, they discuss about standardization is essential measure for quality, purity, and sample identification. And they, unlike a lot of other scientists we've seen lately, they do not have a conflict of interest. So here's another study looking at the antioxidant and hyperglycemic activities of Bottlebrush plant and the stem extracts. So their conclusion was that it was a therapeutic agent in diabetes. And other studies they did shows that, again, it's an antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, anti-thrombin, elastase inhibitory, antibacterial, antifungal. It keeps snails from eating it, neuroprotective, hepaprotective, that's your liver, cardioprotective, that's your heart, anti-cancer activities. Here's another study that, just jumping down the conclusion, it showed an effect against oxidative stress by reducing biomarkers and induced antioxidant system without toxic effects. So that's good. This talks about beneficial phytotherapeutic properties of C. citrinus have been reported, such as anti-cancer activities in the colon. And here they say dried leaf extract. Where'd it go? Hang on. When they powdered a dose and gave 2 grams per kilogram, that's a lot. In mice, it was not toxic. Here's this study, and I'll leave it with you guys. Okay, so that's enough for today. Thanks, guys, for listening.